All right, Pat. That's about the angriest we've ever seen Rocco Baldelli, and I don't know what happened, but like Rocco closed he didn't allow media in the clubhouse to talk to
Yes,
players after too, which is
which is
weird.
a violation of MLB rules, and you'll probably get fined, or the team will
Fine
get
his
fined.
ass. Yes.
Now the team will probably get fined, but I think Hayes actually had a pretty good breakdown analytically of what might have set him off. They struck out on 14 pitches that weren't in the or 10 pitches that weren't in the zone, and they swung at some ungodly number of pitches out of the zone, and the proverbial down the middle pitches they took an incredible number of those. So they I think he just I think he just was accusing them of being stupid. Don't you? Is that as
Yeah.
hitters? That's what I think.
But
You know,
do you think his commentary was directed 100% at players? Do you think it was directed also a little bit toward, because he talked about approach and
mm-hmm.
he talked about we. I mean, was he, what percentage of it is he's mad at the players, he's mad at his hitting coach, or he's mad at the front office for not getting rid of Joey Gallo and some of
Yeah,
these guys?
I think it's my reaction. I listened to they had the cuts on the CCO after I was listening to the post game, and my reaction was it was a plea for change. That's what I thought. We were getting a plea for change, that he wants this. You just can't keep running this same collection out there all the time. Now, he was the big Joey Gallo guy. So if you're going to gas guys, at least the first 6 weeks of the season, he was defending him up and down. But if you're going to gas guys for striking out and not being helpless, you got to get you got to start with him and Kepler, right? I mean,
Yes.
Kepler's the obvious one, and everybody's talking about Kepler. But the other guy, Gallo, if they throw him a breaking pitch, he is going to miss it. It was amazing watching him. After AJ started talking about this on the broadcast the other day, the next 18 breaking pitches I saw thrown to him, he swung through them, he swung over them. I mean, if you get a breaking pitch down anywhere near if it's finishing down there at the knees, he's still swinging right up there, right above his belt line. He's missing them by a foot. You got to get rid of him. You got to start with him. Now here's the trouble: the two guys that everybody's talking about are Larnick and Wallner, left-handed hitters who strike out a lot. I don't think that's what there's. I don't know if they have a solution.
How do you not just change the hitting approach, though, or allow guys who can to go back to what they did? It's clear that this is a philosophy. Like, this is not, and that's where I think Phil's right. I think Rocco is talking about the philosophical viewpoint because Rocco is deemed to be the devil for everything this team does wrong. Half the time, I don't even know if Rocco likes it. He just went along with it.
Well, he doesn't hire his coaches, for one thing. He approves them, I'm sure. He says, I'll take that guy, but they bring David Popkins to him. He doesn't go out searching for David Popkins.
Right.
The geniuses find David Popkins, and he's this high analytical, coming of age guy who probably never had an at bat outside of a junior college someplace. So
That's the thing. In retrospect, that is a crazy arrogant hire if you think about it.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, now Wes was a bit of an arrogant hire too, as a college coach, but that worked out. I mean, he was okay. I guess he wasn't great, but he was okay. But it certainly worked out for Wes. He's now got $1 million a year job coaching Georgia. But and
worked out great for Wes, actually.
Yeah, but
got out.
Yeah, I don't. It's like everybody. I mean, Royce Lewis, when we talked about it, came as close to telling us what's going on as anybody, didn't he? By saying they want you to wait for a pitch you can drive, which was the philosophy 3-4 years ago, right? That's what everybody was doing. Now it's put the damn ball in play, and they're the worst of all time. And I think they're still sitting there at the plate waiting for a pitch to drive. And another thing, we like Willie Castro because he can play a lot of positions and he got a lot of hustle, but he's an idiot. Okay,
Yeah.
he runs the wrong direction. He has no, some guy on Twitter. I ripped Willie yesterday, and he said Eddie Rosario thinks he's a dumb player. Willie Castro. So I don't know. They got to change something. They got to take 2 or 3 bodies and say, you're out. You're done. You're done. Joey, you're done. We tried. It wasn't New York. It wasn't the critical New York fans, Joey. It is the game at which you were.
It's you guys.
You were mild. The game at which you were mildly functional now has, 30% of the pitchers throwing 98 or higher, and there's 5 different ones coming at you every game, and you have no chance. You are a left-handed Miguel Sano, only worse. You're worse. They got to get, you're a good athlete. You can go play first. You can go play outfield, but you're terrible.
Yeah.
They got to admit to themselves that for some reason they gave $10 million to this guy based on the idea, well, he had a lot of pressure on him in New York. We went to the Dodgers. He had 40. He was hitting 12 when he played with the Dodgers.
Yeah, but the sign to me, the signing, and it's fine. Like, okay, take a shot.
Yeah,
and he gets off to a pretty hot start, and that's great. And they've done this before. I mean, think back like 15 years ago. Remember that? Was it 06 where they started with Tony Batista was their third. You bring a guy in, and okay, after a couple months, you evaluate it, and then you move off. If it's not working.
Yeah, 06. That's what they did. Changed though. They called up Bartlett. They put Nick Puto at third and said, "Let's catch the ball and get on base a little bit." Now that the home run hadn't taken over the game then, but this is if they play with the same guys Friday that they played with in Atlanta, then they're idiots. Then this is your manager saying, "Get 2 of these guys the hell out of here," and I don't care which one, but get somebody out of here. We can't do this anymore.
I got to give you guys the greatest Joey Gallo. I mean, there's so many great Joey Gallo stats. We had the one where he has more. There's all these categories. He has more than of singles, right? But here's another one. So, and he's come to the plate like 200 sometimes. So it's not the small sample size. So Joey Gallo has 3 RBI on non-home runs this season.
Yeah.
3 RBIs on non-home runs this season.
He had a sacrifice fly, and somebody told me that this is only the 3rd of his career or something. Sacrifice, and I said that cannot be. You're making that up. You cannot. You're making that up. He said no. He has no sacrifice flies. Guy at third, they strike him out. Now it can't.
Oh my God, it is true.
It is true.
Let's see. Hold on a second.
Career sacrifice flies.
Career sacrifice flies. He had one by the way, his first one didn't come until his 5th year in the major leagues.
How can this be?
This is the most crazy stat. His second one, that was 2019. His second one came in 2021, and then his third one came last year. So he apparently doesn't have any this year.
He doesn't have any. He has 3. I thought he had one this year. Hey, I thought he had one. I accused the man of being a liar. I didn't look it up. I said, "You're making that up." You cannot.
Here's the other thing. This is the other crazy
So every
stat.
time there's a guy on third, he strikes out. And is that basically what they're telling us?
Here's another one. Okay, so again, he has played now 9 years, 812 baseball games, 3,000 plate appearances. How many double plays do you think he's grounded into in his career? 14.
14, because he never puts the ball in play. He strikes it. Now there's some good situations to strike out. Right?
This year alone, I think.
Yeah, you'd rather I guess strike out than ground into a double play. I guess.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. You were wrong. Admit it. And Phil, you made a great point that 06, that, the backward thinking 2006 front office said, we aren't going to do this anymore. And Gardy, that was a plea from Gardy. Remember that?
Yeah,
Gardy said, get rid of, I want Jason Bartlett back. I want to be able to move around the diamond. And, yesterday we saw the modern managers plea for help, right? That's what we saw. Rocco is, I mean, because the day before, when they got shut out, or what, they get one run or shut out, he served up pablum. He served up the usual pablum after that game. Well, we've had good bats with runners in scoring position this year or something, even though the stats like 104 or something like that. But but then yesterday he couldn't take it anymore. So that was good. That was good of him. And I got to tell you this won't get him in too much trouble, but I texted Atterbury and congratulated him on finding a player of the game from yesterday's game, Moran. And he said he had a 3-game stretch this year where he didn't give it to anybody because nobody deserved it, and was told that was unacceptable. We have to find, poor Atterbury has to find a player of the game with these guys, even with the Hopkins. Yeah, the popper.
I did find a career sack flies leaderboard here too. So
okay,
Joey Gallo has 3 of them. Eddie, it's the best stat of all time. Eddie Murray is the career leader with 128 sacrifice flies.
And Joey had 3.
The active leader is Miguel Cabrera, who has 102 sacrifice flies. So. Now,
this is when we should all be calling up Falvey, saying, what are you going to do? But you're going to get, it's modern sports. You're going to get diversion, and he's going to talk around everything, and nobody's going to, you need the old general manager who'd get, this would be a good time for Calvin, who'd tell you, hey, they all stink. That's what, but it's, I was saying, I didn't think this lineup was going to be good, right? But nobody in their right mind could have imagined this. Could you?
No, hell no.
Not this. 30, is it 37 games? They've scored 2 or less.
3 or fewer. 3 or fewer. Is it 2 or fewer? Oh, we gotta look that up too. We gotta look that up too.
The 2 or fewer stat is huge. Maybe it's only 31 out of 82. It's the 2 or fewer is huge.
31 games. The Twins have scored 2 or fewer runs, in which they are 5-26.
Okay. That's 3 or fewer. Yeah. That's
congratulations on that. That's
one thing we didn't do, though. We didn't say yesterday. We didn't talk. What the hell happened to Joe Ryan? He was incredible. His previous game, 5 home runs with his first 10 batters yesterday. Was that it?
He must have been tipping something, right?
Yeah.
Atlanta also rakes.
I think they they do rake, but it
trash can.
They did kind of hint at that. They said that he said I'll have to. They thought they knew what was coming, but then he throws he throws a lot of fastballs, so obviously.
Yeah. But Pat, to your point from Unchained, the problem is too, if this is what you're going to get from Correa and Buxton,
yeah, you can't win.
You're just, as you said, you're screwed.
Yeah, if Correa's going to hit 250, I said they had a team meeting, and that I didn't say how I put it, but I said Correa's assumed this team leadership thing, and I said, speculated that Correa got up and said, follow me, and somebody in the room said, we already are doing that. That's what we've been doing. We've been following you. You're the worst in clutch. You're the worst. How can he be this? How can he be this bad? And he took responsibility again yesterday, or 2 days before the game. I guess he took responsibility because he didn't talk after the game. But I got to be better. Well, no kidding. You know,
Do you think so? Now that Cleveland has passed the Twins, what do you think here?
Those damn Royals, we wanted a fighting effort from them last night to keep us in first place, and they gave up 14. Come on, what the hell's going on?
Really
but
bad.
Anyway, yes, I don't know what you know. I mean, this is not a what they won last year, 78 at the end. I was saying earlier because of the pitching, I thought this was a better team about 3 weeks ago, but it's worse. It's terrible. It's
how much more evidence do we need at this point? The last 3 years, there are combined 24 games under 500 in the worst division in baseball while trying to win it, right?
Yes.
They're just stuck in quicksand. How much more evidence do we need that the operation? And we can sit here, I get in the small term or short term, and say the millionaire players need to do their jobs and Correa needs to do his job, and that's all true. But when you zoom out to like a 3-year snapshot here, how much more evidence do we need before we say the operation isn't working?
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's, if I was the Pollad accountant, the man taking care of this, and looked at the amount of staff and the amount of millions, I mean, piles of millions these guys have spent to create the front office and this ungodly large minor league system where you go through, look at their coaches and stuff, there's 200 of them.
Yeah.
I would say, boy, this, I'm going to have to fire a lot of people here, but you gotta, I think you gotta, who is Joe Pollad, the guy going to call him in and put him on probation? Tell him, you guys got to get your act together. Somebody's got to.
That family, they traditionally they hate
Jim
doing
going
that.
to come back and try and?
No, Jim is. Joe's more likely to do it than Jim, but I don't know. I mean, Phil, you made the point. It's a failure right now. It's an absolute failure. This team is, I was thinking about this. You guys talk about the people you deal with that are the defenders, and there's still maybe a few Twins defenders, but the Wild has their huge number of defenders, the Vikings, of course, and even the Timberwolves with all of their problems. But the bashing of this team going on right now by reasonable people is incredible. People are disgusted, and and guess what? The manager's disgusted.
Yep.
Do something.
Yeah, the manager has now finally. I think and even yesterday, how many times did he preface a critique or a rant with, "If I'm being truthful," or if I'm going to say it like it is. It was as if he's saying, "Usually I wouldn't say it like this."
No, he is saying that. He is saying it. And he said, basically, "I'm not going to sugarcoat it anymore." Is what he said. Yeah, that was basically what it was. You know what it reminds me of, Phil? When you and the other guys decided that there had to be a new way forward for Score North, right? To the on-air AM sports talk radio wasn't the answer.
Yeah.
And you had to change everything. And now these guys, they still think that the 2019 golf ball era is coming back. It's not. Then, as I said, the Youkilis and Nesson, and Dave O'Brien on the Nesson broadcast the other day were saying these guys are their problem here is they haven't caught up with the times. Their team is not built for the modern game. They don't put the ball in play, and they really don't. I mean, they've stolen more bases this year than in the past, but so what? They're stuck in the mud, and even being in the Central can't save them, right? So
yeah, it's amazing. So
we'll
see if they make any changes here, I guess, in the next
well,
we do.
If you get rid of Gallo or Kepler, you can call up either Larnach or Wallner, but you can't call them up both because there's two more strikeout guys. You got to get somebody. They got to have somebody in the system or on the radar who puts the ball in play and can run. There's a fat little guy down in Miami who can do that, but I don't think we're going to get him back. So,
Oh my god!
I mean, he didn't run that well, but he.
By the way,
certainly
I'm
put
so
the ball
sick
in.
of, and we do have to go because we do have to get to Doogie here. But one more quick thing on the Arise thing. The argument isn't Lopez and Arise. The argument is
Why
you
him?
were forced to trade Arise because you didn't have pitching options for 7 years. That is, to me, that is the fault.
That's true. That's true.
But
Anyway, well, it'll see. Let's see if anything's different Friday in Baltimore. But I'm betting if Kepler's still here and Gallo's still here this weekend, they're hopeless. They're hopeless.
It'll be a good column for you, though.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yep.
A good rant. That's for sure.
All right,
Jed.
there he is, Reusse Unchained. We'll do it again tomorrow here, and you can find all of Reusse's material, all of Reusse Unchained, on the Reusse Unchained podcast feed, Apple, Spotify, scorenorth.com.